in the seat.
In the seat.
Yeah, I'm in the fucking seat.
Oh, on my screen, you're like, you're like standing on the table.
Hold on, let me upload this. In the fucking seat. Oh fucking shit. Okay, that's glitched. Okay, you can sit down here. What can you do here? So apparently you can add extra bedrooms. So can someone else stay with you at the penthouse?
Yeah, you can. I have to buy an extra room though.
Hey Calvin, I'm gonna set up the table.
This is where the office will be. Okay. Oh, this is new. Oh, we can't clink them together.
That's a fucking missed opportunity. I like how you're pouring it on the fucking table.
Hey. It goes all over the floor and shit. What's this stuff beside us to the right?
It's like
It's like King King.
yeah, it's like fucking like cereal.
Breakfast and breakfast food you split.
Oh, they got the usual green juice. That's new. That's a cool new thing. They got the rum. That's a new drink. What's in here? Oh, apparently I can't go in here. Must be something for addition.
It's the media right?
Oh, I can go in here. There's a toilet and a
It's a
sink.
big ass sink.
That is a big area. Was this the women's restroom?
That's
Oh
the
no.
spa.
Oh, is it?
And then this would be the bar. And the bar expansion looks massive.
Does look massive. Holy shit. So where the other thing will be? The private table.
I have a
We have to
table.
spend money on a private table.
I think it might be in there.
This one.
Yeah, I think it might be past this point.
So this is the land. So this is just the sitting down in. Pretty much.
Yeah, let me see if I can purchase anything else because I got over 100,000. How much is this? 500,000. Oh, shit. Everything in here is pretty pricey. Well, I could buy an extra bedroom for 200,000.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. Like I don't know what that.
I would need like 83,000 more though.
Okay, so there's 4 people that's supposed to be here. Okay, so this is a 4 thing. I wanted to step away, not drink game. I didn't press A. I'm not doing anything though. Notice that?
It's not.
So what is it? Richards.
I was expecting the view to be better this place.
So it
place
looks
is
like something
huge.
could be right here. What's gonna be in here?
That's the office.
Oh, the office. A personal office. Okay.
Yeah, I think when you open that, this you see how there's this thing right here?
Yeah.
I think it might open up and be like see through, so you can see through to the office maybe.
And so we got this area over here. So what's this right here?
That's the bedroom expansion.
I didn't know. Like the toilets. Hmm. That's gonna look. I wonder if you get the extra bedrooms. I wonder if it will tell you who you want to stay in your apartment. Cause that'll be or the penthouse. That'll be cool.
Oh, hey, this is the private dealer expansion right here.
Oh, that's it.
Yeah,
That's a small ass room.
it is. It's tiny.
Or the table is supposed to be right here, maybe.
I wonder if you can put stuff on the shelves. This place looks really like
Check in the menu. Is there like a menu that you can go to buy stuff with the chips?
there's a uh, there's some decorations. You gotta buy the decorations and they cost chips, not money. So I'd have to go to the thing and buy chips.
So do they have any decorations for this?
Yeah, they do. There's quite a few.
Was it just like novelty items?
Yeah, it's like sculptures, novelty items, little knick-knack looking things.
This is more like a seating slash uh area. And then you got the entertainment over there. And you got the medias over here. So this is when you have like 20 friends or like 10 friends and they all come in here to fucking do all this shit.
If we get ever get like 4 people together to do a heist,
Yeah.
I wonder if I can call that guy back for that mission that I had to decline. To use the phone, I gotta stand on this. So, dumb. You sit on this thing.
No, I already tried that. You can't really do anything. It's something you can't do anything in here.
Maybe you can. Maybe we need the office expansion to be able to access the computer. Maybe.
Yeah, maybe.
Let me see how much the office is. The office. The office is 200,000.
Yeah, it's a big thing. It's fucking expensive.
Oh shit! It says the offices come with a gun locker and a hidden safe.
Oh wow.
So that's where the gun locker is. It's in there.
Why must the conservatives always win?
This is America. Girls that keep people warm, or after a
That's too good.
is hurting, we're at each other's throats,
Right,
wondering
sure.
if this country can ever come back
Oh,
from
cool.
the
This
abyss.
TV don't have the
Coffers.
security
The thing
cameras
about
on it.
Steel, it's hot and cold at the same time, like a woman, or Lady Happiness.
Yeah,
We made the problems,
That's
and
true.
we're solving them together, because we're in this
That's
together.
damn.
Which is why it's only right you're paying for the mistakes we made together.
that's the
Subpar
aggressiveness.
cars and overly entitled executives. Together, we're holding on to the dream. That dream is luxury, and a gas-guzzling luxury car, created in a nation that's 95% condemned. We haven't
Which was
forgotten
actually
what
spot
America
on.
wants. A hunk of overpriced shit that goes
Yeah.
fast
A
and
hunk
gets
of
you back to
overpriced shit that goes fast.
Bravado. United we stand. Together we fall.
Hunk of overpriced shit goes fast. Thanks for the build out, America. Your tax dollars paid for this commercial.
Your
What
test
will
here.
you do when you finally win the lottery? I'm gonna have my
Ooh, the
ex-wife
DMV.
strangled by a hitman. Start dreaming. Play the San Andreas State Lottery and have all your fantasies come true.
Take to this when it's provincial run of red light.
Island, a tiny island. 10 desperados who will do anything on television.
Red rubber is
No food, a massive pile of cocaine, and tons of relapses. Reality finally gets real on CNT.
one hand down your pants, the other one
Germs. Let's
sexting,
kill or
let
be
the
killed
seat
in the
push
great
forward so
warfare
you
in
can
your
steer
home.
with your
Of
knees.
all the
What the
places
fuck?
in your home, your carpet is the battleground where the fighting is the nastiest. That's where I come in. Mr. Spot. Ordinary cleaners leave stains, dirt, germs, and life behind. I don't. I kill everything. I clean and disinfect the toughest stains and kill 99.9% of germs and living tissue. I can cleanse a crime scene or strip a baby to the bone in less than an hour. Mr. Spot destroys away wine stains, dead. Mud, dead. Cat vomit, dead, including the cat. Moon blood, whatever it is, it's
While
dead.
getting
Coffee,
service orally
bye-bye,
by
you're
a girl
dead.
while
Dead
driving.
cheerleader, you're still dead. And ink stains, dead, dead, dead. Your teenager is shooting DNA on every surface of the house. Mr. Spot cleans it away. If you want, it'll even clean him away. Mr. Spot, a squirt is all you need, then boom, nothing lives on.
Criminals fear him. Police respect him. Women need him. Men envy him. He's the square-jawed yet world-weary hero your dad always wanted to be. He's the diamond in the rough, fighting crime by breaking rules that haven't been written yet. He's even, when appropriate, seen with ethnics and women. The Bald Eagle Broadcasting System presents Gordon Moorhead in Moorhead Rides Again! He smokes 60 a day. He drinks a quart of rye at lunch. He has incredible powers of reasoning. And he keeps America safe when government intervention cannot. Sleep easy, America. Someone else is worrying about things so you don't have to. This episode of Moorhead Rides Again is brought to you by Los Santos Affordable Homes and Redwood Tobacco. Before we start this week's episode of Moorhead Rides Again, we'd like to tell you about a remarkable free offer.
Yeah.
You can own an incredible, genuine Gordon
Stick the
Moorhead
hell there.
detective badge, replica gun, and
Say it,
a
say it,
packet
say
of
it.
candy cigarettes. So
The
you can help
helicopter
protect
or
your neighborhood
helicopter.
the same way.
Let me drink whiskey before we go.
Actually, that's a good idea. I'll do the same thing.
Hello, sir. How can I be of help today?
Got a nice buzz on before we drive this helicopter.
Kill people with impunity and smoke, just like a real crime fighter. Or sit on your couch wishing you had a dad who really loved you and a future as something other than a ninny. And now, Moorhead Rides Again in Moorhead and the Soviet Titwank, or Reds Under the Bed.
stronger than Mary.
Molly, come in here and bring me some napalm.
Good, I'm right here. We're on TV now. Besides, we moved to the West Coast. We don't.
Yeah, now we're going. Yikes.
Tom Connors here. How can I help you, sir? Mm-hmm. And which aircraft would you prefer? Certainly. Which aircraft shall I send? Excellent choice.
Oh, it's white now.
You know.
Uh,
You hear the radio?
yeah.
Yeah, I think it's because he's drunk, probably.
Here at Merryweather, your security is our concern. Please call us if you need anything.
Merryweather just called me. They just told me there's my safety is their concern.
Yeah.
It's not supposed to be. When you're in the helicopter and drunk in this game, you can't listen to
Yeah.
music.
What the fuck?
Yeah, he just got sober again and now I can hear it.
Yeah. Well,
Okay, you'll...
You don't, guess how far I gotta go?
how far?
0.38 miles.
What? 83 miles?
0.38.
Oh, what? It's that shit. Oh, let me just go to the Sand King then. What the fuck is this fat shit?
Yeah, it's just, that's it.
How much money did you get?
50,000.
Dude.
That took like that didn't take 2 minutes.
He hit the bunker.
Worldwide FM. It was
Don't mind me, just going through the forest.
Tom Brown, Throwdown, original breaks for your beats. Peterson,
in a boot, in a-
Candido, and the Thousand Finger Man.
Ooh, yeah. What the fuck?
Manufacturer.
You said you're doing that. Oh, you're right back.
Alright, well, since you're doing that, I'll be right back to you.
Interns, please make some noise for today's special guest professor, the one and only
Limits, Devin Larratt.
Today, with Devin at the helm, we're taking a deep dive into the world of arm wrestling to see what we can learn about human anatomy. On the table, Devin is a force of nature, tireless, unrelenting, explosive.
He could pin Ryan right now. If he wanted to pin, he could pin.
Devin doing a lot of talking here, trying to get right into there saying, fight me.
And it is no surprise that the techniques and training methods that allow him to shine in battle have been cultivated meticulously through trial, error, and plenty of first-hand experience. It was an absolute pleasure to interview Devin. That video is soon to be live on my podcast channel for those interested in more in-depth discussion, and I will be sharing my favorite clips here today. He'll help us clear up some common misconceptions about the sport.
There's many schools of thought, okay?
Yep.
And if you talk to 100 arm wrestlers, probably quite a lot of them will tell you that it's rotational.
Mm-hmm.
Okay? I'm smarter than they are.
Hard to argue with results. And together, we'll take a look at the injuries that are most common among arm wrestlers, the tissues and structures involved in this nuanced form of combat, as well as how to grow and strengthen them.
easiest way to tell if your hands are massive enough to become a good arm wrestler. Get your standard protein tub, right hands.
A process which Devin has obviously mastered. And for the record, when I shook his hand, why does my hand feel like a baby's hand compared to yours? We'll also discuss the Way of the Giant Pumpkin, the unique training method Devin developed in order to grow his right arm beyond conceivable limits.
I'm good. I'm just gonna go and check my mail over there.
You been lifting weights?
No.
Buckle your seatbelts, we've got a lot to cover. Now, in a sport where the goal is simply to force your opponent's hand or forearm to touch the table, the average observer or amateur participant is ignorant to the level of complexity that is involved, which can lead them to attempt higher risk maneuvers that may result in serious injury. Anyone remember when Aiden Ross's bodyguard broke his arm in an amateur bout against Zayas? In the context of arm wrestling, big muscles mean very little without an understanding of the relevant alignment and movement mechanics. Hopefully, this clip saves someone a trip to the ER.
There's a process of shoulder alignment. The thing that really breaks you is spiral pressure. Okay? Now, arm wrestling breaks happen in all sorts of positions. People say, oh, it's this position. No, it happens all over, okay? But the thing that's really causing it is this spin. Basically like when you're throwing a ball.
Yep.
Or like in martial arts, a key lock, like when they grab the wrist and they start. Like you're trying to throw a 1,000-pound ball and it's not...
Not moving, and you're cranking it.
And that spin through the body has to translate through this bone. And we're not really designed to throw things that are 1,000 pounds.
Yeah, this strikes me as a very important place to start. Devin is referring here to the greatest weakness of human bones, rotational force. We have evolved to stand upright, our bones bearing the weight of the body under gravity as we move throughout the world, as well as to perform basic mechanics such as squatting, pushing, walking, pulling, and hanging. When engaged in these basic mechanics of human movement, bones bear axial load with the force applied along the length of the bone. Axial load can be compressive, with force applied to the ends of the structure, or tensile when something is being pulled or stretched. Throughout the process of evolution, these are the forces bones evolved to withstand, with an emphasis on compression because of the structure required to resist gravity. Keep in mind, the first vertebrate lived some 450 million years ago and took to land approximately 390 million years ago. So, it's been a while. Even when the human body rotates, it is our connective and muscle tissues that really enable it to do so, while the bones retain their rigidity. To simplify, the structure of our bones is like a bundle of pipes bound together by rigid plates. When rotational force is applied directly to this bundle, the individual pipes tend to break apart and separate at their connecting points, compromising its structural integrity.
And that's always the same. It's a spiral fracture.
Yes.
Just right above the elbow joint.
Yeah.
Happens all the time.
Yeah.
Happens a lot with new guys.
Okay.
People in arm wrestling try and be like, oh, no, it's bad.
Yeah, no, for sure.
Yeah, people be popping their arms arm wrestling all the time.
Professor Laird is referring to a spiral fracture of the distal or lower third of the humerus, also known as a Holstein-Lewis fracture. Distal meaning situated away from the center of the body or the point of attachment. A 2021 systematic review of the available literature on arm wrestling injuries published in the Journal of Clinical Orthopedics and Trauma showed that these fractures are by far and away the most common injury reported in the setting of arm wrestling. With the hand locked in battle and the elbow pressed against the table, the location of the shoulder in space will determine how much force is translated through the humerus, which fails due to torsional and bending stresses. I'll let Devin speak to practical strategies to mitigate this risk in a moment. Unfortunately, researchers in the aforementioned study found further complications where 23% of those with spiral fractures suffered a concomitant medial butterfly fragment, and 23% had an incidence of radial nerve palsy. A palsy is a lack of function of a nerve, and here the radial nerve is at risk as it traverses the spiral groove to the lateral intermuscular septum. In regards to fixation, the same study showed an approximate 50-50 split between operative and non-operative methods. While non-operative treatment with a functional brace or cast avoids all the potential complications associated with surgery, the likelihood of anatomic positioning once healed is reduced and the duration of time required for healing is likely to be longer. On the other hand, surgical fixation is much more likely to produce anatomic alignment and a shorter overall healing time, but at the price of the risks and possible complications that are infrequently associated with surgery. But obviously, the healthiest option is prevention. Luckily for us, there are a couple simple cues that can help the amateur arm wrestler avoid spiral pressure.
As soon as
Gordon Ryan, who's the greatest grappler of all time, openly admits taking performance-enhancing drugs. Openly talks about it because everybody's doing it. And he's just honest. He's just like, yeah, I take them. Everybody's taking them. They're not illegal in our sport. And if you look at him, he looks like a guy who takes performance-enhancing drugs. He looks like a fucking Greek god. But you can't look at him. That's Gordon Ryan. I mean, not only is he the greatest...
He looks like Zeus.
He's the greatest of all time, and he's only 27 years old.
What is that spray painted his beard?
No, he died. He bleached blonde his hair.
Yeah, he looks like Zeus. He looks like he could be the lightning bolt.
But look at the fucking build on that guy. Gordon Ryan, who's the greatest grappler of all time.
Hey, it's me, Destin. Welcome back to Smarter Every Day. You remember in an earlier video we talked about how carburetors work? We made this see-through carburetor, and you can see that there's a bowl, there's the float, there's a needle, and then there's this venturi on top. And the wonderful thing about a carburetor is that as the piston draws in the air, that fuel is pulled up into the venturi, and then it particulates the fuel as it goes down into the cylinder. The slow motion was amazing. Well, today on Smarter Every Day, since we know so much about carburetors, let's go find the carburetor on this old tractor. All right, let's go over to this side of the engine. Gotta open this thing up here and check this out. I did this earlier. This mechanism is so cool. Check this out. The engine is up under the battery here. And the first time I tried this, I took the battery out like an idiot. But the way you actually do it is this, which is beautiful. Okay, so this is the top of the engine, and you'll notice there's not like a carburetor looking thing here. Like I don't have a bowl, a float, and a needle or any of that. I've just got pipes going straight in to the top of the engine right here. You see that? It says firing order 1, 2, 3. So this is a 3-cylinder engine. Those things right there, let's zoom in, that is a fuel injector. and you're smart. You read the title to this video, and you know that we're about to do something awesome. We're about to look at a fuel injector in slow motion to see it spray, kind of like the carburetor when it misted the fuel and the air and mixed it up. Fuel injectors work differently, and I happen to have a buddy that legit owns a tractor parts company, and we're about to go check this out in slow motion. Let's go get smarter every day. This is my buddy Dean. He owns Cross Creek Tractor, and he does all kinds of tractor parts. What do you do mainly? Tractor parts. Dude, you're getting everything out of that. So Dean started his business years ago doing tractor salvage, right? Yeah. So you're getting every usable part off this thing, ain't you? And so, look at all this. All these used tractors back in here. Are most of them scrap? Yeah. Cross Creek Tractor is an amazing place. They refurbish parts from this huge graveyard of old tractors, and it's incredible to see what they're doing, but Dean has taken it to the next level. He now has a full CNC machining operation where they make totally new parts for tractors as old as the 1940s, all the way up to the newer models. These parts allow people to keep their tractors running, which is really important for a lot of people all over the world, and I absolutely love seeing that Made in America sticker Cross Creek sticks on their boxes. I love that. I'm gonna be manufacturing some stuff soon, so I'm excited to do that myself. Anyways, whenever I come around, Dean's always talking about how he's making tractor parts. He's not making rocket. Anyways, whenever I come around, Dean's always talking about how he's making tractor parts. He's not making rocket parts, but don't let him fool you. He's doing some really awesome stuff. My old friend Jacob works there, and we got to work setting up a little experiment to explore some tractor fuel injectors. All right, so we're in the shop. This is my buddy Jacob, Cross Creek Tractor. So we understand carburetors at this point. They create a vacuum pressure that pulls in fuel from the bowl and vaporizes it, but injectors are different, right?
That's right. They're a totally different system. It's a forced fuel injection.
Okay, so these are different types of fuel injectors, and you were telling me, I've already forgotten. I know this is International.
Correct.
Was this?
Kubota, Massey Ferguson, John Deere, Ford.
Okay, so these are all different types of injectors. These two are new, and these are sold here at Cross Creek Tractor. Get your tractor parts at crosscreektractor.com. I'm assuming that's your website.
Always, that is. That is the correct website.
Jacob and I go way back. You were on Smarter Every Day, like episode 20 something.
Vortex shedding.
Okay, so what we have here is a way to demonstrate a fuel injector. I'm gonna turn the phantom off, it's a little bit loud. So this is a tester used to test fuel injectors, right?
Correct.
And how does it work?
All right, it's basically a hydraulic pump that has a gauge on it. It works sort of like a floor jack. You would shut off your valve, attach the injector.
Did I just squirt you with fuel?
Just a little bit.
No. Okay, my bad.
That's
Dude,
okay.
I'm sorry. I did not plan that through, dude. I'm sorry.
That's okay. But then you hook the injector up to it. Then you continue to pump that until you build the pressure that it takes to overcome the spring tension in the injector. And then you would check.
So it's like a check valve.
It's just like a check valve inside there. You overcome the spring tension, moves the plunger, releases the fuel. You check what pressure it pops off at and the pattern.
Can we
check it out? Let's go.
If the US are genuinely interested in protecting Taiwan, why is it representatives of the defense industry that get sent over there? Would they make any money out of potentially causing World War III with China? Hello there, you 6.4 million wonders. Thanks for joining us on this voyage to truth and freedom, awakening and cultivating the light deep within us in order to overcome the darkness apparently without, enabling us to confront the systems of corruption that surround us on all sides. A bombastic broadcast media that wants us forever on the edge of war, living amidst continual fear. Turn on the notification bell right now to ensure you get this content that we make every single day, because every single day there's more of this stuff to get through. Right now, the American defense industry, aka the military industrial complex, are sending representatives of Raytheon, Lockheed Martin, etc. to Taiwan in order to help them. What kind of help? Missiles and stuff? Is this help got strings attached? You bet it's got strings. Green dollar bill strings, tendrils.
Nolan, you there?
Yeah.
Okay.
What happened?
Waiting for you to come back.
Oh, I've been back for over 20 minutes.
Oh, you didn't say anything.
Oh, I guess you can. Dang.
me some drink. I've been watching videos.
Oh, okay. Why didn't you hear me sneeze?
I thought you were like sleeping and like doing something in your sleep or something.
No, I guess I should have
Okay. I guess
Yeah, I got kicked from the session because I was idling too long.
Made of money attaching you to the US economy. Are the US a kind of benign force going around the world helping people that are being picked on by bully nations? Or are they agitators continually creating new conflict in order to feed the insatiable beast that is the military-industrial complex? Let's have a look at this story while we answer the question, Taiwan, Ukraine too? Are you ready for another Ukraine? I mean, are we still in Ukraine? Around 25 US defense contractors plan to send representatives to Taiwan next month, marking the first time the arms industry will send a delegation to the island since 2019. Not that long ago. The planned arms industry trip to Taiwan comes as the US is looking to ramp up arms sales and general military cooperation with Taiwan, which will further exacerbate tensions with Beijing. This is the problem with their economic model. It needs to continually escalate and grow. Whether it's energy companies or now the military-industrial machine, it requires limitless growth. Growth in this instance means people always buying weapons. That's, I think, just a really simple analysis of what's happening, which means you have to create the conditions in which people will buy weapons. And people don't buy weapons if there are treaties and peace deals and armistices and a general sense of goodwill to all mankind, individual personal awakening, good community relationship. People don't buy weapons under those circumstances. So these visits, do you imagine that what it is, oh shit, right, is there anyone at all we can help? Yeah, Taiwan, they're under all sorts of pressure. Should we get over there and just see if, I don't know, maybe they want some arms? Or do you think it's, we've got this business model, this is what's happening in the next quarter, this is what's likely to happen when eventually the Russia-Ukraine situation peters out? Why don't we get this lined up so we can tell our shareholders, you know how the world works, don't you? This is how the world works. The delegation plans to meet with Taiwanese President Tsai Ing-wen, who recently provoked major Chinese military drills by meeting with US House Speaker Kevin McCarthy in California. Let's have a look.
It's a decades-long battle for sovereignty from China.
That's the situation. A decades-long struggle for sovereignty from China. That's what we're being told. I don't know if there's more complexity to the relationship between Taiwan and former European colonial powers like Spain and Portugal. I don't know if Taiwan has formerly been colonized by Japan, a historic enemy of China. I don't know if China have strategically had to occupy Taiwan in the past to prevent colonial and imperial powers impeding on their territory. What I will tell you is that the US literally have China surrounded by military bases. So if China do feel insecure and threatened, you could argue there is some legitimacy to that, in the same way that you could say that NATO expansion provoked Russia. Without saying that Russia's war is not criminal, you can still say Russia's actions in Ukraine are criminal, the deaths are unnecessary, Putin is a monster. All of that can be true, while simultaneously saying, hey, hang on a minute, America appear to have been, through NATO expansion, agitating for that conflict. Are they doing that now? And try and remember this. Try and remember this for in 2 years' time or 3 years' time when you hear Chinese forces were flying planes over neutral waters were bombed. We found that they'll start doing that stuff. The media, you've seen again and again, won't inquire, interrogate, or legitimately question the intentions of the government. They'll just say what they want them to say. You saw that with this whistleblower lad, Buddy Texera. Should this have happened? How can we stop it happen again? Why did it happen? Not once did they say, hold on a minute, are there US troops actually fighting Russia? You said there weren't. Do you not really believe that it's possible that Ukraine are ever going to regain this territory? Is there no hope for a peace deal in 2023? All stuff that's being denied and not discussed was revealed. Those revelations are never discussed because what the media do, as you will see in this story, is they convey to you the preferred narrative of the powerful, not a counter narrative, which surely should be at least part of their job. Let me know in the comments in the chat if you agree.
And today, the Taiwanese president held her highest level meeting with a powerful ally, the United States. It's the first time a meeting like this takes place on U.S. soil since 1979. This comes as tensions in the Taiwan Strait continue to escalate.
Tensions don't don't just escalate like eczema or asthma. They are being agitated now, probably through this media campaign, probably through this defense contractor visit, probably by encroachment of bases all around China. China aren't just, oh, right, let's do this shit now. That's what we're told in order to legitimize and justify these actions. Elsewhere, you'll see Biden talking about, we're going to shut down this trade deal, we're going to control this, we're going to introduce these sanctions. It's a sort of a global approach to creating the conditions in which the system can continue to flourish. It's beneficial if there's tensions, it's beneficial if there's wars, beneficial if there's arms sales, beneficial if you have domestic populations terrified of ongoing war. There's no loss for them because they live in a different world to you.
And it works to bolster its military readiness amid fears they could face the same fate as Ukraine.
This is a bit like Ukraine. It's over there, Ukraine. It's Ukraine of the East.
This morning, we look at the worry in Taiwan that China will attack it someday.
Why has it got this sort of jazzy little bass line? Got news for you guys. World War III is coming. You thought it was bad to provoke Russia in a secret proxy war? Well, if the conflict with Russia was Infinity Wars, then this is Endgame. You're gonna love this unnecessary movie war that we're creating for you right now.
A U.S. warship yesterday sailed through the Taiwan Strait, separating the island from China, a narrow body of water there. And it followed days of Chinese military drills around Taiwan.
So here we go. Here's the stories about military drills. Now there's the warship. Is the warship a provocation or a counter-provocation? If it was a Chinese warship down the Gulf of Mexico or along the side California or whatever, or sailing into Manhattan, oh, well, you know, we were doing drills. What is the legitimacy of this power? Just for a moment, stop and say, wait, what right do the United States have? And it's not United States people, it's not people in some farm somewhere in Minnesota. It's not people working in a factory in Milwaukee. It's not ordinary Americans they represent. They don't care about ordinary Americans. You die, you're fodder. You're cannon fodder, you're TV fodder, you're sugar fodder. This is legitimization of an economic exercise in the guise of military interventionism.
The U.S. Navy called the voyage a routine movement.
That was just a routine movement. We got these routines where routinely we provoke superpowers in order to create tension so the military-industrial complex, who we give 50% of the Pentagon budget to, not that you'd know from an audit because we've not completed the last 5, and then we can routinely have an unnecessary war where, like, Taiwanese people will die, so everyone's a winner. What about Taiwan? Oh, no, they lose. Like Ukraine. That's a lot of information to consume. Don't you sometimes wish you could take a shower to get some of that information off you? Digitally, you can, with Incogni. To tell you a little bit more about that, here's Other Me. Oh, that's enough now, C-3PO. You know these random calls you get with a robotic voice on the end of the phone? They're becoming more and more common, aren't they? That's because unscrupulous data brokers can find your leaked or hacked personal information, then sell it onto these robocaller companies. It could be something as simple as your full name, but it also might include more sensitive information like your date of birth, your phone number, IP information. Incogni are here to help you by deleting your personal information. Incogni reaches out to data brokers and manages the data removal process on your behalf. And it's all automated, so you can sit back and just reap the rewards. You only need to do 3 things. 1, create an account with Incogni using my link in the description below and tell them whose personal data you'd like to remove. 2, grant them the right to remove your data from the broker's databases. 3, just relax and wait for the results as you get notifications from the brokers and email lists you've been removed from. It's amazing. You just see it all come flooding in. The first 100 people that go to my link, incogni.com/brand, that's incogni.com/brand, will receive.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Dr. Yagan, am I saying your name right? Tell me, if you were king for a day and you could rewrite America's tax code, tell me the 3 changes you would make.
Number 1, I would equalize labor and capital tax burdens at the top. There are a couple ways of doing that. The billionaire minimum income tax is one that would move in that direction. I won't rehash those details. Senator Johnson actually talked about a corporate tax integration type.
What's number 2?
Sure. Number 2, part of closing the labor and capital disparity is closing the Gingrich-Edwards loophole, Number 3 is ending abuse of trusts. So the estate tax has been eviscerated. Many of those, you take assets that you know are worth a lot. Right now they're purportedly worth a little because you haven't taken your company public. You put them into a trust, it explodes.
Do you support a wealth tax? Do you know what I mean by wealth tax?
I do know what you mean by wealth tax. The billionaire minimum income tax taxes income, and that I think is the way forward in that space.
Well, let me be a little more precise. Do you think appreciation of assets that are not sold, unrealized gain, should be taxed?
I think you should have to prepay tax on it that will eventually be due at sale, gift, or bequest.
What do you mean prepay the tax?
Sure. So if I have $5 billion of unrealized capital gains, I have $5 billion of taxable income, and I'm currently paying $1.5 billion on that. So that's a 15% overall tax rate.
Well, let's don't complicate this. I want to understand
Sure.
what you're saying. Let's suppose an American owns a piece of real estate they inherited from their father or their mother. And it was, when they inherited it, they got step up in basis, it's worth $100,000. And all of a sudden the interstate came through. And the property is now worth $1 million if they sell it. But they don't plan to sell it. They're going to leave it to the kids. Do you think that Americans should have to pay tax on the unrealized gain, the increase in value?
In general, no. At that level of wealth, for example, housing.
You think only wealthy people should?
At the very top, it's hard to tax,
But let me be sure I understand what you're saying. All right, let's suppose that's not just an average American. Let's suppose that's an American. What do you define as rich?
In the minimum income tax, it's $100 million of wealth or more.
Okay, so you think if you're really wealthy, you should have to pay a tax on your unrealized gain?
I think you should have to partially prepay if you're liquid, if you have liquidity to pay.
Do you think somebody? Why can't you economists answer questions? Should any American have to pay tax on unrealized gain? Why can't you just answer me?
Yes, there are some who should.
Who?
The ultra wealthy who have liquidity should prepay some tax.
What if they don't have liquidity?
They should not have to pay, and they will owe at sale, bequest, or gift.
So if you have cash, you ought to have to pay, but if you don't have to pay?
To prepay. I have in my testimony, there are examples of how this works so that you can preserve incentives to build a new company, take it public.
Okay. What do you think, Dr. McBride? Do you think we should start taxing unrealized gain? And what do you think that'll do to the economy?
Well, I have several concerns about the approach. The first of which is it's completely untested. It's never been tried in this country. We have more than 100 years of history with the income tax, and
Europe's tried it, haven't they?
No, they've tried wealth taxes.
Yeah.
Their experience with wealth taxes has
How
been
did that turn out?
Bad. It
Why is
resulted
that?
in a lot of taxpayers exiting the country, for one thing, in France, for instance, other countries that have tried it. And you suddenly lose a big chunk of your tax base that you're trying to tax there. We have that option in this country as well. The result has been that most of those countries in Europe that have tried a wealth tax have rolled them back, including France, because they were administratively challenging. The basic challenge is what you're describing, trying to value assets without real market transactions. So this is a valuation dispute. It means we get the IRS engaged in yet another challenge.
Sure.
They're currently doing this with the estate tax. Those estates that are subject to the estate tax, those valuation episodes can go years and years and years.
Can I have 30 more seconds?
Proceed.
Dr. Is it Clausing? Clausing?
Yes.
Yeah. Why do you and Dr. Yegan, why do y'all want to punish wealthy people?
I think I can speak for both of us that we're not interested in punishing anyone. We're interested
Well,
in
you're
having
interested
a
in taxing
fiscal
the hell out of them
system.
more than anybody else.
I think
the
what
makes you think that making tax policy on the basis of class or status makes sense?
I think it's a very American phenomena that throughout the history of the income tax, we have valued progressivity, and our current income tax does that. We used to rely on things like tariffs to raise revenue. Tariffs are regressive consumption taxes that disproportionately hurt the poor. Like, we believe in this country that those with the greater ability to pay should pay more of the burden. And that's part of what a healthy capitalism does. It enables people to gain from things like trade and technological change and business innovation, and to contribute a little more to the fiscal system when they're very successful in doing so. And I think that that's a very legitimate way to structure the tax system.
Can I ask you a question?
Yes.
Why do you think so many wealthy people are leaving New York City?
New York City is, an incredible city of innovation, immigration, entrepreneurship.
Yeah, but why are so many wealthy people leaving?
I think there are big advantages to living near centers of entrepreneurial activity, and we see that on the West
You think
Coast.
they're leaving to be nearer to centers of entrepreneurial activity, do you?
Well, I don't think there are a lot of people, fleeing New York City. That New York City has.
Sure they are. There are thousands. I mean, there have been study after study after study. Why are so many wealthy people leaving New York City?
I think there's an enormous number of wealthy people who are in New York City and continue.
But why are so many leaving?
I can't speak to why particular people
I can
leave.
tell you
I
why.
know
It's taxes. You know that as well as I do. It's
I
taxes.
think if you look at the economic.
Some of it's crime, but most of it is taxes.
Well,
people vote with their feet. The same reason that people are leaving California and moving to Austin.
If you look at California, it's one of the most successful economies in the world, and it continues to be so. It attracts people.
But they're
as
losing
well.
people.
I don't think it's in any danger of decline, nor is New York City. And these are very vibrant places.
I don't think we're going to
for
ever
fundamental
agree.
reasons. Yeah.
I don't think we're going to ever agree. But I appreciate the time of all three of you.
Thank you.
To be fair, there also are people moving the other way. There are people who move to New York. They just don't all leave from New York. It's a two-way street in and out of New York. And it's a two-way street between Austin and California. People leave Texas and go to California, and some of them do very well.
Well, that's true, Sheldon, but I can show you study after study after study, as you well know, and as the professor knows, that shows that people are leaving high-tax states and moving to low-tax states. All you have to do is
Well, they also leave.
all you have to do is look at the demographics. Pick the 9 states that have, say, a state income tax, and compare that, or that don't have a state income tax, and compare that to the states that do. It's called tax avoidance, and there's nothing wrong with it. It's perfectly legal.
People have different preferences. If you look at where immigrants choose to live in the United States, they often go to those same places that you were talking about. So I do think that, there's movement in both directions.
Yeah, but here's here's my point.
Mhm.
Here's what I think rational people do, and here's what I bet all three of you would do, and I bet Sheldon would do. Sheldon would do it because he's a smart guy. Okay, if he won the lottery tomorrow and won $10 million and paid his taxes and has $6 million left, he's going to at least consider, you are too, moving to Florida because
No, I
they don't have a
wouldn't.
state income tax.
For the record, no, I wouldn't. Never crossed my mind.
Well, most rational. Well, I don't mean you're irrational. Sheldon, you know that.
It can be quite rational to not want to
But
live
when
in
you're
Florida right
liquid,
now.
when you're liquid, and you don't have to pay a 6% off the top versus 0%, it's a rational economic move, is it not?
I agree. It's rational. I mean, the thing about taxes that we're talking about is they're a cost or a price, and so claiming that this cost or price doesn't matter is essentially throwing out the very basic law of demand, the basic fundamental idea in economics. That prices matter, that costs matter.
See, this is what this always boils down to, and there's no way we'll ever agree. Okay. But at least two of you believe that government all things being equal, can spend a dollar better than people can. That's your, this is America. You can believe that.
For the record, that's not in their testimony.
I just don't agree with you. I think people can spend the dollar better, all things being equal. And all you have to do, if you know the history of government, you know that I'm right. But I don't expect you to agree with me because you're professors. Okay? Thanks, Sheldon.
Always entertaining. Senator Kennedy, thank you so much for being here.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Welcome, Mr. Secretary.
Thank you, Senator.
Mr. Secretary, do you agree with the President that we should ban the private ownership of assault weapons in America?
Senator, I do.
What is an assault weapon?
It is, for example, an AK-47.
Can you give me a definition other than just pointing to a specific weapon? Would there be other weapons besides an AK-47 you would ban?
There very well are, and I remember when I was a federal prosecutor in the Central District of California from September 25th, 1989 to, I believe it was April 2001.
And I thank you for your service, but if you could answer my question.
The vast majority of law enforcement officers, leaders with whom I worked were greatly in support of the assault weapons ban.
Mr. Chairman, you know why we get so frustrated with you? Because you won't give straight answers.
I think I just did.
No, you didn't. No, you didn't. Do you have a definition of an assault weapon?
I am confident there is a technical definition of what is an assault weapon, and it was assuredly used in the context of the statute that previously existed banning assault weapons.
Mr. Secretary, our southern border is not secure, is it?
Senator, I have spoken about this. I believe I've addressed this earlier in the hearing.
Why don't you address it again?
Of course. Let me share with you a few things. Number one, when I speak of the security of the border, I am speaking of maximizing the resources we have to deliver the most effective results.
So
and let me assure you that we are doing
it's secure
so.
because we're trying to secure it. Are we succeeding?
Senator, we are so focused on the security of our southern border. We are doing so much with respect to the surge of personnel.
How you're not succeeding?
Oh, Senator, let me share with you that the challenge of migration that we are experiencing at our southern border is not exclusive to the United States. It is something that is gripping the entire hemisphere.
But my job is to worry about the United States.
As is mine. As is mine.
And here's my question. Let me try to rephrase it. And I really do wish, I understand the position you're in, but you really should try to do a better job of answering the questions. Under the Biden administration, we have the most encounters. We have had the most encounters with people attempting to come into our country illegally in the history of ever. Under the Biden administration, we have had the most people entering our country illegally in the history of ever. Under the Biden administration, we have had the most gotaways at our southern border in the history of ever. Under the Biden administration, we have had the most number of people entering our country under a claim of asylum, having that claim turned down and still not being deported in the history of ever. And under the Biden administration, we've had the most fentanyl coming into our country in the history of ever. How can you possibly say the southern border is secure?
Do you know
I understand your answer that you're trying, but I'm not asking about your efforts. I'm asking about the results.
Well, let's talk about the results then, Senator. Do you know that last year we expelled and removed approximately 1.4 million people from the southern border? I believe that's the most ever. Do you realize that we are focused on enforcing our laws to achieve the security of the southern border.
I
that
know you're
people-
focused, Mr. Chairman, or Mr. Secretary, but you're not succeeding.
Senator, I
And when
just,
you come testify to us, you talk about how you're trying really hard. And I don't have any way to disprove that. I accept that statement in good faith. But the numbers belie that.
if I can, Senator, let me give you an example of a solution that we have delivered that for some reason is being contested. No, because it's
Mr.
caused the
Secretary,
95.
I give you 30 seconds, okay?
It's caused the 95.
Don't filibuster me.
It's
You've
caused.
been doing that all day. I'm just trying to ask
I'm just
you
trying to
questions.
communicate. It has led to approximately 95% drop in the number of encounters in between the ports of entry at our southern border of Cubans, Haitians, Nicaraguans, and Venezuelans
Mr. Secretary,
on January 5th. And
Mr.
why would that
Secretary.
be opposed when it is delivering precisely the result that you seek?
Did you just parachute in from another planet, Mr. Secretary? Because you're the only person in the Milky Way who believes that we're not having massive illegal immigration into America.
Senator, you're putting words into my mouth.
No, sir,
There is-
I'm
there is-
accurately describing the
There is
situation.
no question, that we have a very serious challenge at our southern border.
Okay.
It
let
is
me-
a
let me-
challenge.
Well,
that is
we can agree on that. Let me ask you another question. Why don't you just declare a new policy that other than children, if you present at the southern border, you claim refugee status, you claim political asylum, and you haven't claimed refugee status and political asylum at the first safe country, then you can't come in.
Senator, so first of all, when one presents at the border, it's an asylum claim, not a
But why
refugee.
don't you do that? Why don't
Not a
you just
refugee claim.
unilaterally declare that a safe third country policy? It would work. You can't come into America. If you're coming from Venezuela and you come through Mexico, if you didn't claim asylum in Mexico, you can't come here. You have to leave. Why don't you just do that?
Well, Senator, let me give you an example with respect to Mexico. A safe third country agreement, let's hypothetically
you
assume.
don't have to have an agreement with Mexico.
Yes, you do.
No, you don't.
I believe you do,
No,
Senator.
you don't.
I'll have
Other
to.
countries don't do it. Just adopt a policy that says, except for children, because you don't want to send children back by themselves. Just adopt a new policy that if you didn't seek asylum in the first safe third country, you can't come in, period.
Senator, are you aware of the notice of proposed rulemaking that we issued, the comment period of which closed yesterday?
You've
which-
had 2 years to adopt a policy like I just described. Why haven't you done it?
So, Senator, what we have done is
But why haven't you done that?
we have surged enforcement resources. We have
Why haven't
developed.
you just adopted, please, if you would, Mr. Secretary, answer my question.
It is my understanding.
Why haven't you adopted unilaterally a safe third country policy? That would stop, except for children, all the folks from the Northern Triangle countries, all the folks from Venezuela, all the folks from Cuba, all the folks from the Middle East from coming into our country. Why haven't you done that?
Senator, it's my understanding that those two things. It is my understanding that those agreements do require.
You don't have to have an agreement with anybody. It can be a policy established by the Department of Homeland Security.
Senator, I'd have to review the.
You haven't reviewed that? You haven't considered that possibility?
Let me finish, if I may.
Sure.
I would have to review the legal underpinnings of your
Well, you
assertion.
better get reviewing.
And I also
You ought to
do
get
not-
reviewing. This is the first time that's occurred to you.
I also do not think that that is sound policy.
You don't
to
think
shut-
this is the first time that's occurred to you?
I also do not think that that is sound policy, that we should shut down our entire asylum system.
I didn't say shut down the entire asylum system. I said safe third country. All you have to do, Mr. Secretary, if you're really serious, and it's beginning, frankly, to appear that you're not, is adopt a policy that says we're not seeking anyone's agreement. We don't have to. If you're coming from another country and you come through, let's say Mexico, and you say you're seeking asylum, you have to seek it in Mexico or the other first safe third country, or you can't come in. Period. Done. End of story. Why don't you do that?
Senator, I don't think that we have the unilateral authority.
Sure you do. Other countries
Number one
do
and
it.
number two, as
If
I've
you
mentioned,
try sneaking into China,
as I've mentioned, I do not think that is sound policy.
why?
Because you are basically shutting down our asylum system.
No,
and
you're
doing
not. You're saying we honor your right to seek political asylum, but you're cherry picking. Do it in Mexico first. Why haven't you done that?
I think I've addressed that issue, Senator.
You don't want to do it, Mr. Secretary. That's what it's beginning to look like, because you think our borders ought to be open. And it would be more intellectually honest if you just say that.
That is false.
I don't agree with you. You have to watch up here what people do, not what they say, and everything else is just cottage cheese.
Senator, I don't think
Thank you,
I don't
Mr.
think
Chairman.
the 1.4 million people who were expelled or removed last year would consider the border open.
Mr. Chairman, Mr. Secretary, you've had millions coming into the country. And
I now recognize myself for 5 minutes of questioning. I want to show a video, but first need to set the stage. Earlier in the year, we had a hearing at the border with Border Patrol Chief Ortiz, and I asked him if by the definition written into the law, we have operational control of our southwest border. He said resoundingly, we do not. Following that, Mr. Secretary, you were questioned before the Senate about operational control. This was March the 28th, just a few days ago. Let's watch your testimony.
With respect to the definition of operational control, I do not use the definition that appears in the Secure Fence Act. And the Secure Fence Act provides statutorily that operational control is defined as preventing all unlawful entries into the United States. By that definition, no administration has ever had operational control.
So here you admit that according to the definition that's in the code, no secretary has ever had operational control. So you know that that definition written into the law has not been achieved. Now, let's go back a few months to the testimony you gave here in the House. This is before Chief Ortiz admitted and told the truth that there was no security at the southwest border. Next clip.
Will you testify under oath right now? Do we have operational control, yes or no?
Yes, we do. And
we have operational control of the borders.
Yes, we do. And Congressman, we are working to...
Listen what operational control defined. In this section, the term operational control means the prevention of all unlawful entries into the United States, including entries by terrorists, other unlawful aliens, instruments of terrorism, narcotics, and other contraband. Do you stand behind your testimony that we have operational control in light of this definition?
We do. And Congressman, I think the Secretary of Homeland Security would have said the same thing in 2020.
Mr. Roy reads...
2019.
Mr. Roy reads the very definition you just admitted last month in the Senate that has not been achieved. He said, according to this definition, do you have operational control? According to the definition that you just said, no one has ever had operational control. He asks you, under oath, in the United States Congress, if you had operational control according to that definition, and you said, I do. That is a false statement because you admitted in the Senate that no one has ever achieved that. You make it very clear, Mr. Secretary, that you've known all along, according to the definition that is written in the law passed by the Congress, that you do not have operational control. And yet, in testimony to this House, under oath, the definition was read to you. You've asked, according to that definition, whether control exists, and you say yes. That sounds like a lie under oath. Now, I want to change the subject just a bit. I want to set the stage for another clip. Senator Cornyn, just last month, is asking you about the cartel strategy. And he describes what Border Patrol officers and leaders have come before this committee, Congress, told us on trips to the border, is the strategy of the drug cartels. They've been telling us this for 18 months. The cartels are overwhelming the crossing sites, tying up the Border Patrol. And then they're slipping the drugs and the human trafficking and the nefarious folks they want to get in the U.S. around the CBP when they're tied up. It's a distraction. In the military, we'd call it a neutralizing attack. He even says that Merrick Garland, the Attorney General of this administration, came before their...
I'm thinking about going to bed.
No, I'll catch you tomorrow.
Yeah, I'll catch you tomorrow.